Welcome to Dallas, the home of the killers. Welcome to Dallas, sharks and gorillas. The girls, they going harder than Welcome to Dallas, we lost some legends. Welcome to Dallas.
Hola, hola, hola. Welcome back to the Poofy Man podcast, where, if you were with us last time, you were hearing a discussion, a one-way discussion, of course, at that, about bully culture and all of the finer details therein. I think where I left off, the reason I wanted to do a part two was because it's obviously like it's a bit touchy and all that, but it's also it's a subject matter that requires a little more nuance, I suppose. And with that in mind, I want people to understand where we left off last time. It might even appear that I'm being callous, or I'm even in some weird way like defending kids that bully other kids, and that's not really the case. I'm just making a simple observation that it requires, like, to live out here, right? We all have to deal with choices, and the choice to defend yourself really should be one that is, becomes almost ingrained in your DNA, and it takes courage, and it also takes like mentoring and stuff like that. And I just think that the long-term effects, the consequences of kind of harboring this little, building this nurturing little safe space that's now expanded from coast to coast and has engulfed every single new kid that's being born into the world second by second, where people can, where it's like violence is always wrong and it's not the answer, and don't ever, say anything that's demeaning to others, and don't hit people, and all those things. Like, generally speaking, if you're on the offense and there's no particular grounds for it, is obviously wrong. That's in those cases, I think that bullies are obviously wrong, and they're going to learn their lesson. But they only learn their lesson, here's the point, when someone stands up to them. When one of these victims of bullies decides, hey man, like, I'm not today. Like, today's, like, I'm not him. Not today. And, that's the only way that bullies, they can readjust themselves and redeem themselves moving forward, and, be humbled by it and become better people for it. But since we've, kind of integrated this cultural pussyism into our lives, into the world, there's just less and less courage and bravery out there. It takes courage to do that because you're not exactly sure what the consequences are going to be. But, beyond all that, I want people to understand that, like, there's more important forms of this type of courage that needs to be sort of taught and reintegrated back into child rearing and parenting and back into society. And these types of courage are not physical. They're not about, last action hero kind of stuff. It's not about, like, beating up the bad guy or something. That's very simple-minded. It's very nuanced. What I'm talking about, more importantly, is, as an adult, there's not the odds that I'm going to find myself in a situation where I'm having to, like tune somebody up or something, is just, increasingly low as I get older. Like, I'm just not out there like that. I'm not looking for action anymore. I've already had enough of it, But what does happen every single day is the decision to, like, fucking shelter in place on certain things or not. You know, are you going to, speak your mind? Are you going to be honest about questions you have that maybe your group doesn't, right? Being independent, thinking freely and critically, asking questions, being fair and understanding people's position on things, but also not letting people, lie. Lying is a form. It's rooted in fear, deception, things like that. Like, it takes courage to admit you're wrong. Accountability is so fucking huge. Accountability is the adult's version of like whooping ass. Okay, I'm happy to do it, just like I'm happy to whoop some ass. You know what I'm saying? But but low key, like, but like I'm happy to take accountability when I fuck up, because usually I've always learned the first person in a room to take accountability especially for a group, like if that's the boss. That's the level boss. That's the person that you speak to in a meeting. If we have meetings here, for Phantom City or whatever, people walk in and they're late. The first person to apologize for being late or to say thanks for waiting or whatever is to me, that's who I address the whole time. I don't really care who's actually paying who anymore, because I'm looking for someone who has the courage and the backbone to take account for whatever minor mistakes have been made. But sitting there and trying to double down and triple down, or trying to pretend like that wasn't rude or whatever, like now we're talking about like disrespect, and we're talking about it's just a clown show. It's like it's like being up in the cheap seats, up in the peanut gallery, watching the clowns dance around. Like, not doing that shit anymore. I'm not exposing myself to shit like that anymore. And it's weak. It's weakness. It's rooted in fear and weakness. And again, like, those are much moving forward in your life. If you've been bullied and you've encountered bullies in your past as a child, and you were victimized, I'm gonna put it in quotes because like that's kind of on you. It's a little bit on you. I've never been victimized in my life. People have tried it. Remember, it's not like I've been bullied, I guess. There was always a response, though. Was it scary? Sure. It was scary every time, but no one does that. And you know what? I never had a problem with it. I wasn't like a bully victim. I was bullied, sure, but that happened once, you know what I mean? And I'm just saying that, like, these kids that have been taught to not face their enemies and not face those people who not defend their honor and their existence, so to speak, not defend their right to walk down this road or, wear their backpack a certain way or whatever it is, whatever silly thing it is. They grow up to be these vindictive, scared, kind of frantic and unpredictable folks that, they have hard times finding spouses, and they have hard times, adjusting themselves to like productive daily life, getting jobs, all kinds of stuff. But, they do start to like, they become the person that's not reliable, right? That you can't take their word for things as truth, that are going to go along to get along no matter what. They're not leaders, right? They're going to say things they don't believe. Say one thing, do another, right? That's your first way out of my life. You know what I mean? And it takes courage to say one thing, and then when it's not popular, do the thing that matches the thing you said. And we just have none of that. We have none of that. It's like 90%. And I'm gonna tell you, like, I know this. We're supposed to pretend like this never happened, but for like 5 years, remember COVID, SARS-CoV-2 or whatever. Remember that whole fucking ordeal? I'm gonna tell you what. Like, I have I have a real sore spot in my mind, in my memory, and I'm very bitter about it. Not because of the, you know, not because of any of the things you're thinking. It's because I was so, man, I was just so disappointed and so discouraged by how quick people that I looked up to, or how quick people in general were like willing to turn themselves in and like hide under pillows and, you know, turn on their own people and stuff because they were afraid essentially of this cold we got. And I get it. It was scary. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this shit wasn't scary. But that's not what courage is. Courage is being scared like everyone else, but still fucking doing it anyway. Like, if you're not scared, there's no outcome of courage. That's called stupidity. That's just called, like, you know, blockhead stupidity. You know? And I was just so disappointed. It was like, God damn it, man. I felt like, I mean, everyone was just terrified, bro. And they're all likely, you know, outgrowths of this, you know, anti-bully culture stuff. So anyways, as usual, leave your comments below. I would like to hear as many perspectives as possible, because I mean, hopefully people understand at least what I'm saying and what I'm seeing. But you know, maybe my standards are too high. I don't know. I got really high standards. P-Man's got very high standards. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, let me know what you think. Subscribe, and as always, we'll see you next episode. So till then, I'm out of here.
Welcome to Dallas, the home of the killers. Welcome to Dallas, sharks and gorillas. The girls, they going harder than. Welcome to Dallas, we love some legends. Welcome